night I got a call at 2 o'clock in the morning or something. Like I was working with Wellen because we had a video going out the next day until 11 p.m. or 12 or something, and then I went to bed. And 2 hours later, I got a message from him. I woke up and I was like, okay, and it was just a simple thumbnail change, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I went back to bed. We figured that out, and the next day he posts it, and that's the one that got him 27 million views or something like that now.
Holy cow.
Something like that. I don't remember exactly,
Yeah.
but it's like it's a ridiculous amount, and it's just like, okay, now I understand what like working with creators and actually paying attention to those small little details
Yeah.
can cause, from a difference of,
Yeah.
like, whereas someone else who's a marketing company might not be able to put that time in.
Yeah.
We, like myself and people that work with us, do put that time in and find the small things. And
She's a beauty.
Welcome to Tarducks, a podcast for content creators who come on, share their stories, experiences, and advice. And today I've got a special guest. I've got Kings. Welcome.
hello, thank you.
Thank you for coming on the pod. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So how we start things off is 3 random questions. And are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So you're going out to your favorite place to eat. What are you ordering?
Chicken fingers, probably. Nice, easy, simple. Nowhere can really screw it up that bad.
That's true. Now, are you getting sauce or doing like ketchup or just naked?
Barbecue sauce and fries as the
Nice.
side.
All right. Best vacation you ever went on?
I'm not sure the best one, but I'm gonna say the most recent one was very nice, where I went to Cape Cod with Don Tony.
You
also
joined
had
him
on.
down there.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Awesome. And best thing about where you live?
Scenery probably. Like it's very picturesque, I guess. A lot of nature.
Nice. All right. So how we ended up getting here is I had Aqua on, I had Don Tony on, and they said a lot of nice things about you and suggested that, probably you have some good stories to share.
Yeah, I don't think that many people probably know what I do or anything because I'm behind the scenes. I don't mind coming on here and talking about it. And so it's a lot of fun for me to kind of be in the limelight, but at the same time, I don't like to be in the limelight as well. So it's an interesting spot here. But for those that do know me, I do podcasts and stuff with the guys, and I've been on, with the guys for a lot of content creation. So.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. So where are you from?
I'm from Vermont, northwest or northeast United States, I guess. Yeah.
Nice. And now, before you jumped into the Creators Club, what did you do? What is your background?
I went to school for medical, and before that, I guess I was trying to be an athlete. I played a little semi-pro soccer at very, very low level, like very, very low level intro, and then I broke my finger, and I was a goalie, so that's not very good. And then, I went to college for medical. I went like EMT training.
Yeah.
I was going to be a doctorate in physical therapy. After a little while of that, I left school with a medical problem and then never went back. Instead of doing lots of little other things, I could go back and finish my degree, but I feel like I don't want to. There's no need to now that I started this.
Yeah.
But I got 3 years done of a degree and then decided not to do it anymore. And then started doing a lot of stuff with like esports, when that first started coming in 2010, 2011, League of Legends.
Yeah.
I worked with some of my friends and I did like YouTube, like really poor Let's Plays. And luckily their channels took off. And actually one of them, Christopher Odd, who I kind of worked with then, is now like, that's his full-time gig. He's very, very successful on streaming and YouTube.
Okay.
And then from there, I did more esports stuff, and don't ever get into esports if anyone's wondering. It is the worst, especially at that time. But if you don't have the money, don't get in esports because they, And anyways, from there, I decided to do, instead of doing esports wasn't working out, I decided to actually start helping the creator side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I went from, that's how Careers Club kind of started.
Awesome. And now, do you have any interest in gaming as well, like playing or really?
I mean, I play sometimes. I don't play as much as I used to. I used to do like a little Let's Plays, here and there with my friends, and we used to do that back in 2009 to 2012 maybe.
Yeah.
And then after that, I played a lot of Rust. and that's kind of how I started with Aqua in a lot of ways. We
Yeah.
played together, and I helped him here and there. And one of the ideas I had was for a trap base, and that video went viral. So then from there, we just continued playing together,
Yeah.
and more happened. So I mean, I used to game a lot, but I
Yeah.
guess now it's kind of dialed back.
And do you ever dabble back into playing any games or?
Oh yeah, I mean, I still play. I mean, when Diablo 4 launched recently, I played for one night.
Yeah.
I paid for the extra $30, played for one night, and then just said, "I'll wait till the servers are a little bit better before I actually get into it."
Yeah.
I used to be a huge Tarkov fan. I mean, I'm still am a Tarkov fan, but
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably the one of 2,000 first players or something.
wow.
'Cause I got in right when they released it to like pay for alpha or whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't one of the Kickstarter backers or whatever they had then, but I was like one of the first people to buy it when they first could get it out.
Oh, okay.
To alpha. So I played that back in 2017, I think, fall or winter of 2017, and that's where I kind of played. And I used to stream that game, and I loved it because I used to play what I called whack-a-mole, and I used to just run factory with a hatchet. And back in those days, hatchets were OP. Like, I mean, it was like a one hit to the head, even if you had a helmet. And that was when, that was a lot of fun for me. But yeah,
okay.
Tarkov recently has not been my go-to.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask you if you dipped your toes into the streaming, so you answered that question.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I streamed off and on,
Yeah.
especially when I first started early working with Aqua and a couple other creators. It was just for fun. They streaming as well, so I streamed or whatever at the same time. But I never like seriously streamed.
Okay, cool. And now, when did you start the Creators Club?
Well, I started working with Aqua specifically 2016, and then I think something like that. And then I worked with Wellen and a few other people, and then I started taking it more seriously. And I think in 2017 is when I started the actual business proper.
Oh, okay. And now, what made you, start? What was your inspiration to starting that?
Well, I mean, I was helping Aqua anyways, and it was doing really well. And then he kind of just said, well, why not just make it a full business rather than, me just helping him on the side?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it started. And yeah, after a long bit of hard work, it grew up to what it is now.
All right. And now, what would you describe Creators Club is now? What is what are the things you provide?
I mean, we don't like to do what the industry standard is, I guess, because the industry standard, I think, is a little bit more. We're a management agency, full package, where we can do anything that the creator wants, and we only do what the creator wants, type of deal.
Yeah.
Whereas other management agencies, I think, are not all of them, but some of them are more like marketing agencies that don't actually help the creators as much. They just take a cut and throw them a couple deals here and there. Where we go to creators. The creator says, we want to do this, or I want to do this, or whatever, and I say, yeah, let's do it. I'll figure out a way to do it. And one of the first things we did was we ran Aqua's. We did a deal with a server company for Rust server for Aqua, and he wasn't happy with what was going on, and then the payment was getting delayed. So I just said, well, Creators Club could just run that for you. We could just do the whole server. And luckily, the co-owner of Creators Club also is a coder. He was able to build the server overnight and like actually put in plugins that worked and wasn't like a complete headache.
Yeah.
So we built that and we did game servers for him. And then Aqua wanted to do merchandise, and I did that really easily. And just like anything that creators want. And now that we've kind of flushed it out with a small amount of creators, we've opened it up to more people. And now it's pretty much whatever they feel like is good. We try, if it makes sense to do.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And was there a certain moment where you that happened that you thought, hey, yeah, I could take this as a full-time gig, or was just things are sort of all came together?
Yeah, I don't know if there was like a time where I thought I was like, this could be a full-time gig, or like I knew that it could be a full-time gig, and I put a lot of time in because even when you're making, maybe $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, but you start seeing it steadily increase, you're like, okay, I could do this more and more and more. And then being able to negotiate bigger and bigger offers. And then the big thing probably was when I was talking to Wellen before he quit his job. He was still doing YouTube part-time. And it was kind of a case of both Aqua and I were playing with him a little bit. And also we're just like, you should try to go full time with this. You're doing well. I think he was getting like 20,000 views a video, and this was back in 2017, which is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think that's when it was 2018, and then it was just like, yeah, sure. And then he signed with us, and we worked with him, and then one night I got a call at 2:00 in the morning or something. Like I was working with Wellen because we had a video going out the next day until 11 p.m. or 12 or something, and then I went to bed. And 2 hours later, I got a message from him. I woke up and I was like, okay. And it was just a simple thumbnail change. And I was like, oh my God, like I was working 70 hours or something a week during that time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then I went back to bed. We figured that out. And the next day he posts it. And that's the one that got him 27 million views or something like that now.
Holy cow.
Something like that. I don't remember exactly,
Yeah.
but it's like, it's a ridiculous amount. And it's just like, okay, now I understand what like working with creators and actually paying attention to those small little details can cause, from a difference of, like, whereas someone else who's a marketing company might not be able to put that time in.
Yeah.
We, like myself and people that work with us, do put that time in and find the small things. And it's rewarding. And that's probably when I would say I was like, oh, maybe I am decent at this and can make this for more people, not just a couple.
Oh, okay. So now, if we just dive into that back and forth with Wellen, so are you helping him from the creative side of things, making thumbnails and edits and things like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we do everything.
Yeah.
That's the thing is we're a full, and that's what I mean when I say we're like full management. Is we don't ever tell creators what to do or not to do.
Yeah.
What happens is they come to us and ask us, "Hey, I have an idea for this. What do you think the direction is?" Or maybe some of them are struggling and they're like, I don't understand what's going on. Can you like look through my videos and tell me what's this, what's that? How do I get this or this better? And then it's just a case of,
Okay.
I mean, we try to analyze it and give them options. And then I give them my personal opinion on what would happen if they choose this or this, A or B. And this is what I think will happen here. This is what I think will happen here. And then, they make their own choice and go on. And hopefully most of them, it's better with us than without us type of deal.
So it's, you guys do much more than just, here, we got a brand for you to, to pitch or something like that. You do like you just said, the full services of everything that encompasses being a creator.
Yes, exactly. We don't just do like, a lot of companies do that. They're like, okay, we're marketing or we're management, but actually they're just, we got an email from this person and offering you this, and then they might negotiate it for you, and they might be like super happy with here or this or that, and that's great for some people. But other people like someone to actually bounce ideas off from, or like if they get into a struggle situation where they don't know what to do next, they just want someone that's been there before, knows a little bit of what's going on, and then just to bounce ideas off from. I mean, that's realistically what most creators only need. Is they need someone to help them with some stuff that they don't want to do, like emails, negotiate contracts, get into meetings and stuff like that. And then also they like someone to just be able to talk to and be like a realistic approach too, not just, oh yeah, slap a new thumbnail and call it good. You actually need to talk it over because it's not just like, it's not always just numbers.
Yeah.
And it's not always just by what you're feeling. And I think that having two sides of that, like we look at a lot of analytics where they might have just a feeling, and then working it out together makes, a better channel or a better brand or whatever you're working on for that period.
Yeah, because if a creator comes in and he takes off, he does not have that business sense or that, sort of a trusted resource or a trusted, somebody that they can, like you said, collaborate and bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of horrible cases where you hear like horror stories of someone getting screwed out of something because they trusted someone. Then there's also the good ones where you just hear people, and like maybe they get with a management agency that really balloons them,
Right.
And for us, it's not about as much money wise. It's more of what does the creator want? Like a lot of creators come to us and it's not a case of, oh, I want to make, double my money. It's a case of, hey, I've got a decent thing going and I don't want to have to work 50 hours like I am right now.
Right.
Can you like help me cut down to 20 hours a week? And that's what we do with a lot of people. It's a case of maybe they don't want to do YouTube anymore, or maybe they only want to edit half of the time.
Yeah.
And we actually did a really good job at, like, we were one of the first people, I think, or first companies that really helped with a second channel. Because that was when Twitch was really exploding, right? 2018, 2019, and then obviously COVID, it really ballooned. And then, yeah, we were just like, why not, with Aqua specifically and a couple others, why not just have a second channel that we take all of your stream footage, actually edit it into something that's like concise and highlights, and then put it out there. And that was something that we did too, because I mean, other people did it. It's not like we were the first, but we were probably one of the first agencies that were like, let's do it for you so you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, because I think that was a lot of things. People wanted to do second channels, but then they edited it themselves. So you're still spending the time doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And we were just like, why don't we just, like, I edited, also Aqua, I edited most of this first 3 months or 6 months because we couldn't really afford to really spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
So like us and a couple friends, we took a little, few $100s here and there, and then we just edited it up together, and then really took off the channel, luckily.
Nice. And so starting with Aqua, how did you and Aqua originally connect?
I don't really remember. I think I was in his first ever Twitch stream, and I watched him a lot on YouTube a little bit before that.
Yeah.
Probably like, nothing crazy, but I think I was there around maybe 5,000 subs or 10,000 subs. And I just watched it. It was like, okay, cool. Like, genuine guy, nice guy.
Yeah.
That's really what I like to work with, just nice people that deserve more. And
Right.
he didn't know how Twitch worked, and I was streaming on Twitch back in 2010, I think, when it was when it was just in TV. So I was like, oh, I'll help you out with this, and I kind of like helped him, and he moderated me immediately because he's like, oh, this guy knows how to, And I was like, okay. So me and Toothy and a few other people that Aqua's OGs were like the mods, and then eventually we kind of like Discord, got all to get together in Discord and kept continuing to like play together and help each other out.
Yeah.
And then, it just grew from there, where it was like a genuine friendship connection that was just like, oh, you also could help me with not just Twitch moderating, but then this and then this and then this. And it helped that I had a lot of experience because I was, dabbling personally as well as my friends. And, back in 2010, 2011, 2012, when really Twitch was just getting started, right? Like that was the infancy of it swapping over from Justin TV to Twitch.
Oh, okay. Very cool. And now, who are some of the creators that are part of the Creators Club?
Well, right now we have like an official list that you can go on, but like, a lot of them are Escape from Tarkov people because we start with Aqua, Wellen we work with sometimes, and then Zchum is someone that I really enjoyed the content of, and we all kind of were around Zchum. He did a lot of Tarkov content that wasn't getting appreciated. And he was one that I was like, I need to help. I want to be there to help you, balloon or like be there to help you with all your questions because I know you're going to make it. And that's kind of what we try to do.
Yeah.
Omid's another one. Omid Live is one that I used to just play with him back when he was, I don't know, like we were really young. I don't remember when I started playing, but like PUBG, Rust, all these games, we were just like young kids kind of. And we were just playing games together, and then he just kept grinding streaming to like 5, 10, 15 people for maybe 5, 6 years. And then eventually when he got older and wanted to take it a little bit more seriously, I was already working with Aqua at the time, and I said, look, you have a blanket offer. I will help you with whatever. Just let me know. So Omid's one that I got. I mean, I could list them all off, but I don't know.
Cool. And now, do the creators come to you, or do you reach out and find the creators that you like? You sort of like, oh yeah, that guy is sort of a diamond in the rough type thing.
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both in the fact that I generally know the people that I think deserve more.
Mm-hmm.
I guess is the ones that I usually like. Maybe we just talked friendly, and then I'm like, look, if you do need help, type of deal, like just let me know. At this point, that's kind of what it is. People come to me now.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it was sort of a friend group, I guess, collective, I guess you want to say. It was a bunch of people that all kind of intermingled with different content. And then it was a case of, hey, if you do need help, let me know, and I'll help you. And then we'll work out a contract as we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in your opinion, at what point should a creator look to get that external help, or look to somebody like you to help them out of get them to that next level, or just free them up?
So every creator is different, and that's the first thing I'm going to say. Every creator is different. There are some creators out there that might just be like, look, I want to do it all myself, and that's perfectly fine. You do it all yourself. I do always suggest that you have someone, even if it's like your mom or your girlfriend, just to bounce like some basic idea. Like, am I crazy for thinking this? Someone that kind of knows the space and kind of knows you. But other than that, like if you're looking at like actually professional help, I think it's like after you really can make it full time, that's probably when you want to do it. You don't want to do it realistically unless you have a really good deal with someone that's like just willing to like grow with you. Like that's kind of how we started. We did grow with some people. Like Aqua grew with us, and also we signed some people that we worked with for a while that were very small, but we kind of grow with them. Until you're at the point where you're actually like, I'm out of time and I have enough money.
Yeah.
Like that's usually when you're like, I want to give a little bit of percentage or money to someone to help me, and I'm at enough money that I'm not worried. I just have too much on my plate and need, even if it's 5 hours a week, you save yourself 5 hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that, when Pest was on, he talked about it. If he had identified earlier or had made that decision of bringing on an editor, would have freed up so much more time. And I hear that over and over with a lot of the creators that have come on.
Honestly, like bringing on an editor is one of the probably hardest things people do, because if you don't have the correct editor or the correct fit, if you don't have someone like us, like that's one of the things that Aqua and all these people that we work with, with Trey, with Trey 24K, if you know him, Charberg, we did his second channel for him. We are the bad guy in a way, I guess. Like it's really hard for an editor and a creator to work together to make a perfect video or perfect channel where they're both really happy. There is some really, really good, like Spoon Kid and his editor was an amazing fit. They just fit together. Their brains hit together perfectly, and they make really good content together. But a lot of times there is the problem of someone has to be fired or someone has to, be the bad guy. And that's why someone like a management group like us that does a full service, we can be that bad guy and figure out what's a good fit. Yeah.
You're not having that creator firing his friend. That you're sort of management, essentially. Exactly.
Right. It is a case where a lot of times we take the the heat for it. They're like, oh, I can't do that because but really it's the creator that's just like, I don't want to do that or whatever it is. But they're like, my management thinks it's not good,
Yeah, exactly.
But it's good to be the bad guy sometimes because it means that usually both sides are both happy. Even if you have to split because of them, maybe the editor takes on someone else, or maybe the editor is like, oh, I understand, like from a management standpoint, rather than from a friend, yelling, You don't have to have hard feelings. It's just like, okay, it's business. I'll go.
Exactly. It's business. Yep. Now, a while back, I had one peg on, and he said, something that he learned is he thinks people, learning the value of what knowing what your worth is so important. So you're not chasing these, these codes to get, X amount off of, use my code to get that.
Yeah.
And is that something you help, work with the creator to, figure out what their value is? Don't go after these deals chasing, X amount. You're worth this, this is where you should fit in.
Yeah, so that is a huge thing about independent creations versus actually joining like even a collective or like a group of people or joining like a big agency. You generally don't know the market as well as someone else that actually lives it day to day, right? So like, yes, all these creators could probably do everything themselves if they're willing to spend 40 hours a week on just learning the market, getting into meetings with these guys, seeing about how much the CPMs and RPMs and everything's going on right now, which ways are we talking about January numbers? Are we talking about February numbers? Are we talking about March numbers where each month is a completely upswing, downswing? And then like, because I get, emails from 15 different creators, like incoming emails to creators, what we do is we bounce to both of us. Yeah. And then I can look through and I can be like, this company is absolutely trying to screw this it's like a collective of things where if you don't know the value, you get absolutely screwed. Now, if you're talking about affiliate codes specifically, because that's a different, affiliate codes are generally not the best for people, but for some people it is good. And that's why every single creator is different. And also you can't judge someone too much for taking maybe like a bad deal or like a percentage deal, because if you're like sitting comfortably, say I'm making enough money that I don't have to worry about paying for my house. Yeah. I don't have to take a deal like that. If someone's struggling and they're like, look, I need an extra $100, you can't blame them for taking an affiliate code and you know making their money that way they can eat them that week.
Yeah.
So it's a case of I think that if there's not a guaranteed amount of money, a lot of them are predatory.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, if you need money, I understand.
Yeah. And now how do you go about target? Like, do you target brands will say, hey, I have these handful of creators, or do you really match up brand for creator on a sort of a, need by need cases or?
A little bit of both. So we do incoming emails, which usually are like, hey, I just want to fill a whatever spot. I want this many views.
Yeah.
Then there's a lot of companies that come to us, company to company. They're like, look, we want to put a campaign together. This is sort of the budget. We have a couple creators that we like, or they're like, we just like Escape from Tarkov creators because they match up with whatever,
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, sure. We have a lot of them. What are you looking at? And then we try to figure out not only budget for each creator and kind of how we're going to do it, but also how they're going to structure the sponsorships themselves. Because no creator likes to take scummy sponsorships. They don't want to be forced, oh, I have to read this thing. And that's the funniest thing that I see is I see these giant creators that have to read from a script. And I'm like, that's the first thing I get rid of is I'm like, they don't have to read that script. Sure, there might be one line they have to read.
Right.
But the rest of it completely change into your own words. I want it authentic. And that's what most brands want it authentic too. It's just you need to actually talk to them, let them understand that you know what you're dealing with, you know how to promote it, and then you know how to teach or tell the creators how to change it into their own words. Because there always is a couple things that they have to say kind of word for word because it's illegal. Like if you say 20% off and plus free shipping, you can't say like a weird thing. If you screw it up too much, then it gets into a different situation.
Right.
So that's the only thing that I would say is like, it's not like people that are negotiating contracts. It's not just the money. Like you have to negotiate out all these other things for these creators.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
Okay. And now, what are some of the most common things you see that that creators need to help most with, or the most questions? Is it taxes? Because I got to think that's a huge one for a lot of these people.
Yeah, I mean taxes. Sadly, and we've tried to implement this a little bit, and we might in the future as well. I've actually thought about it with some of our creators. We don't take that much of a cut. We actually take lower than the industry standard because I believe that I'd rather the creators keep the money and then they can figure it out. But for some people, taxes is a huge issue for creators, and that's why I've looked into and might in the future just be like, look, we'll have a tax guy take care of all your taxes. Because it's a thing that a lot of small creators don't realize is that you don't actually take home what you're being paid. Right. And that is a huge question that a lot of people come to me, especially when they sign stuff. They're like, what do I do at the end of the year? And I'm like, you better have 30% sitting there. And you better pay quarterly is the other thing. You should be paying quarterly. I mean, if you're an independent contractor, if you don't have an LLC, if you don't have whatever, you should be paying quarterly because you're going to get, So taxes is a huge one. I think the other one that a lot of people don't know about is really how to make money. Other than the standard YouTube payment, other than Twitch payments, it's like, well, I don't understand fully how much I'm worth when it comes to maybe, a sponsorship. Or I don't know how much merch is they're like, oh, I made $100 on t-shirts one time. And I'm like, okay, well then you're probably not doing it correctly. There's lots of different ways to do it. There's also there's obviously brand loyalty and there's lots of different people and every career is different. But if you do it, if you just slap a logo on a t-shirt and then just put it out there and don't actually advertise it, don't actually make a whole event out of it, then you're not going to make any sales. But if you make an event out of it, there's really good things you can do and make, a decent amount of money that also supports your brand because people are wearing your merch or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the plushies, for example, the Loot Lord plushies that we created, right? That's an actual item that people enjoyed before it was even in the game. We created that and then they put it in the game, which thank you, BSG. But they put it into the game and then we're like, oh, cool, thanks. Because it was just a cool item that people loved. And then BSG, I guess, saw it and loved it as well. Yeah. And that's what you need to make when a lot of things. And people don't know that. They don't realize, little things like that, how you can monetize your brand.
And something you just mentioned that sparked is having an LLC. Often a lot of creators don't realize to go down that path, so it's not just their a private thing.
Yeah, there's positive and negatives to LLCs, obviously, to everything, to any time you're making a business entity.
Yeah.
There's positive and negatives that you look into, and we're not like that's what I tell people too. Is I'm not an accounting firm. I can't tell you, but I know this and this is good for it. But I do suggest that whenever we talk to creators, I'm like, I do suggest you look into it, get it, talk to someone who knows this specifically, especially your state or your country where you live. See what the best way is, because you're losing 30 to 40%, especially when you think about these creators that don't have healthcare.
Yes.
Healthcare is not, and the problem with the United States, as you know, healthcare is tied to your employment, and that is a huge issue, especially for anyone that is self-employed, like working for Twitch.
Yeah. You must have read my mind, because the three things I had on my next thing was 401k, sick time, and sort of vacation. As a management service, managing creators who are probably, most of them are US based, they don't have those three things. And if they're coming from the space of not going to college, or maybe going to college but not working in a normal job where you have those things, they may not even think it's an afterthought. Is that something that you sort of talk to them about and guide them on, and sort of plan for things like this?
I mean, yes, partially. We're always here to talk to people and just to see, like, hey, what do you think about this? How are you doing that? What are you feeling? Because we try to do sort of like a retirement plan for a lot of our thing.
Yeah.
It's not a full retirement plan, but we want to see like what their trajectory is. Are they doing this for 10 years? Is that what they're thinking? Are they going to move on to maybe just doing something in the scene, but not necessarily content creation?
Right.
And then it's like, are you putting away enough for retirement? Are you putting away anything? Do you want help with that? Do you need suggestions? And usually the case is, if they talk to me just like as a personal level, like as a friend, what do you think's the best? And then I obviously end it with, I'm not someone that can do your thing for you,
right.
But I do suggest you go to do this and try to save for this. And I mean, a lot of them are buying their own houses, so they are putting at least that in.
Yeah.
They've got some retirement away, and it's usually a case of, you might as well put 30% into a savings account, because you got to pay taxes anyways.
Yeah.
It's good to have it in savings just in case.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all that kind of stuff. And then Medicare is the big one, I think, because a lot of people that are, 18, 19, 20, maybe 25, they're not thinking about their medic. They're like, I just get away with it, whatever. Or maybe they sit on their parents' their parents' medical until they're 26, and then at 26 they're like, should I just go without? And it's like, well, that's pretty risky to go without. I mean, for anyone listening, I always suggest at least getting like some form of like what do they call it?
There's like
emergency
Cobra or something like that. Where
there's something where if you actually get seriously injured, you have a maximum out of pocket of like 8,000 or 10,000 for a year. And it's like, if you get into an accident or something where you actually have to go to the hospital, 10,000 gets eaten up so quickly, like just walking in.
Yeah.
So like, if you have at least that security, you have a health insurance catastrophe insurance, that's what it's called. What if the catastrophe happens, you'll at least have an insurance that'll take over after you pay that, 10,000. And that's at least something, because you don't want to be bankrupt. You'd rather be like, oh, I'm in a hole for a little bit, but I'm not bankrupt.
Yeah.
At least,
And that's, it's like, Trey was on a couple of weeks ago, and hearing how young he was and how he's sort of skyrocketed, like a perfect example of like never really, out in that space of retirement, 401k, but now he's dealing with, sort of these big things he's got to learn.
Yeah, I don't know if he went into it too much, but I mean, Trey is a fantastic creator that kind of like took the Tarkov wave and like just kept riding it.
Yeah.
And also he has like some really good plans for like just, investing in other things. Like really not just being a content creator. He's going to do a little bit of things here, a little bit of things there that are more him. Like his life, he just wants everything to surround it, not just content creation, not just Tarkov.
Yeah.
There's other games, there's other things he wants to do. So I mean, it's really, really, he's smart. He got money when he was young. He started doing well when he's young. And luckily he's learning like, oh, this might not be around for 20 years.
Right.
Maybe I should make sure to have different options.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's always great for anyone. He's very lucky in a lot of ways, like all these creators are.
Yeah.
There's some things that are luck, and there are some things that are good about it, and some things that are bad about it.
Yeah.
And as long as he's smart enough to know, like tomorrow I could lose streaming, but I'm still gonna have,
Yeah.
house and whatever, that kind of
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah. Now, do you find that I guess most of the brands you work with understand the creative space, understand the Twitch and YouTube, or you really have to pitch them on it?
I would say 30% understand the space.
Yeah.
I would say that 70-ish% are either mainstream media that is transitioning over into more Twitch or YouTube, or there's someone that's like, this is the way we like to do it. We don't want to deviate. And it is a bit of a pitch to them, like, hey, I understand that you want to do this, 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 but we want it to be changed into our own words. We don't like the fact that you're trying to, force the creator to hold up a phone in front of the camera so it looks like they're playing the game.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
like, that's so, like, have you seen these promos like that are from like TikTok where they're not even playing, but they're pretending, like they give them a video of someone else playing,
Yeah.
and then you're just supposed to like commentate like you're playing, and it's so forced and so gross. And we're just like, look, if you even just like let the creator play the game and then talk about it in their own words,
Yeah.
it'll do at least 3 times better. Like, come on. But I mean,
Yeah.
not everyone understands that, I guess. They're still in the old commercial world of, showing on Fox,
Right.
Super Bowl or whatever. Whatever.
And now, since you started this, what are some of the more sort of difficult things dealing with, being a management service for creators? Some of the tougher things you've.
Oh, the hardest thing is honestly when someone really puts in the effort and deserves more, and they just, it's bad breaks, or just like the niche audience isn't there, or is already filled by someone else, and that's something that people don't think about. It's not just because you're not doing well. Like if there's a small creator that's not doing well, and they're like, I wish I put so much effort in, but I only get 1,000 views or 2,000 views or whatever it is, and it's like, yeah, but that's just because the market's so hard. Like you have to understand that some of these people that are streaming are filling up football stadiums, right? Like with people with eyes on it. And it's just like, have you ever sit in a room with just 1,000 people, and then you look, and then you're like, you realize 1,000 people are stopping their day to watch you, or there's 50 people watching. You realize that you just barely filled up a party of people watching you, and just like, I don't know, the ones that should grow, or you feel like they're doing really well, and they're doing all the right things, and then they don't, or they don't like actually get the growth that you expect. That's the tough one, I think.
Okay. And now, do you find
because there's good people, the
Yes.
really good people out there that deserve more, and then just don't. Yeah.
Now, do you find the creators that are coming to you already have established, they have the live aspect of it and the sort of long form and short form content, or some are coming to you with live, and then you're helping them develop the important pieces of it, the long form and short form content?
Well, for most of ours, I think they actually at least know they know of everything. They've at least dabbled with everything. We used to do a thing where we helped really small creators. We didn't like sign them to contracts. It just was a case of like a lot of times people would email me and they'd be like, I need you to evaluate whatever, like their channel, their YouTube channel, whatever. And that's where I think with the small creators, they don't realize that like, oh, maybe you should try short form. Maybe you should try this. Maybe you should try, or like people that are like, I'm going to stream. This is the worst one I've ever had. Someone emailed me and said, I'm leaving college. I have enough money for 6 months to live, and I'm going to be a streamer at the end of the 6 months with like zero, starting from nothing. I'm like, obviously you do what you want, but I do expect to be much longer than 6 months before you become sustainable enough to make money,
Yeah.
And that's the one those are the type of emails that we used to help out, that what is very scary. But like, again, I don't ever tell creators what to do or not to do. It's just like, and those are the ones that are like, those emails that you're like, So I think that I wish the best for you, but I really don't think you understand the space fully. And those are the people that maybe you're like, you should probably try all three. Most of them, I think, are, they understand. They have a grasp of it.
Now, do you find that the short form content is generating revenue for the creators, or more it's just guiding the audience over to the long form and the live aspect of the creators?
Yeah, so short form should be pretty much only that should be a write-off, that you're not going to make money. Like, it's very rare that someone's going to make enough money to actually live. Like, I've seen people that are like, oh, I'm doing amazing with short form, million views, and then they're like, yeah, I made about $45.
Right.
And it's just like that's what you're gonna expect. You have to be able to not only do well on short form, but you have to push them to something that makes money. Now there is really good TikTok stars that turn it into like advertisements, and those work. But you have to be again anything you do it on YouTube Shorts or TikTok, you have to be like the top 1% before anyone even is going to offer you any of that. So I mean, it is a tough route to do.
Yeah.
But again, short form is a great way to get new people in, see you, and then hopefully if they like you, they'll find your other stuff and then
Yeah.
make money that way.
Cool. And now, since since you've taken this, created the Creators Club, what's been some of the highlights? Some, like, wow, that was kind of a cool thing we did.
Oh, I mean, there's so many things. Like the subathons first off are on top of my head because I mean we flew 5 of our creators here to this location and we turned this basement into
Oh my God, I
content
remember
creator. Yeah, we've done it 3 times now. One of them we turned this basement into a spaceship for Marauders. That was a promotion for Marauders for their wipe, and then we did a Tarkov wipe where we had to get Shooterborn Heaven.
Yeah.
Before anyone could leave. And that was like a fun one, but that one got a little stressful at the end. And then the first one was just like none of us met each other. Well, I met Aqua a couple times, but the other guys never really met.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, let's just do an event, and like I'm sure we'll make at least break even because those are very expensive to run. I don't know if people realize those are very expensive to run. I mean, flights alone are expensive.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, and then we all met. It was just like essentially was like a LAN party from I'm sure you know the LAN parties back in the day. We used to play. It was like a LAN party or like a sleepover with all your buds, but we get to game and like make some money on the side.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and those come to mind as well as some of the big highlights of people hitting 1 million subs or like doing amazing in the thing. The first deal I ever got that broke 100K for one deal, that was a big one where I'm like, oh my God, like I'm,
Awesome.
100K for a deal.
Yeah.
Like management wise, that's kind of like a cool thing. But yeah, I mean, those are really, it's the subathons that I can think of, or just like really big events where you're actually affecting people's lives.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, this was the best. Like this was so much fun. And I'm also happy that I can buy a house or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I jumped into this 2 years ago into just learning about Twitch and Twitter and all all really from Tarkov. But it's really cool how these the communities of the creators they're their own thing and all these wonderful connections and relationships that have come from from the streaming a video game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like what Aqua likes to call it. What I think Zchum's even said this too. It's just your fun. You're just doing it with your friends. You're playing a video game, and you have this community behind you that you're talking to, and then the ones that you get close with become friends. Just what it is. Like a lot of content creators, you play with each other for so long, you're actually better friends than probably the guy you grew up with, and you just don't talk to anymore. Or like see once a week.
Yeah. And now, how did COVID affect you? Because you started this, creative club before COVID. What kind of impact did COVID have on the whole aspect of management?
I mean, it made it slightly more difficult in some ways, but it actually made the everything bigger.
Yeah.
Everyone had to shut down, go home, and as everyone knows, Twitch, YouTube, all these things got so much more viewership time. Where I mean, Netflix did really well for a while, but even that, people were like, I'm going to go watch gaming.
Right.
And Twitch blew up and YouTube blew up. So for us, it was a time where a lot of our creators, like even Pestily, when the irons, you got to go when the iron's hot. You got to just go for it. And that's what we did. And it's nice for someone like me who doesn't like big crowds, that was the time that it kind of, that it happened. Because I was like, I don't want to go out and hang out with, I mean, I was trying to be safe as possible as I could. And then I was like, this is a good time for me to work 60 hours a week.
Right.
Can't go out anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it worked out.
Excellent. So now, you mentioned a little bit about Twitch. What's your thoughts on this, streaming platform battle we have right now with Twitch and YouTube and Kick? any of your creators on Kick right now? Are you discussing with them sort of wait and see what, do you talk strategy from that aspect of things?
Yeah, 100%. So we have a couple people that are dabbling in it. We don't have anyone that's swapped over 100%. And if I was to give suggestions to a random person, again, everyone's different, but if I was to give a suggestion to a content creator that has a following on Twitch, it probably would be feel free to dabble if you want. If that's something you want to do, dabble, but I would not put 100% investment on a platform that you don't know. I was one of the people that loved Mixer, and I really, to this day, still love Mixer. If it wasn't for mishandlings in the company, I think that could have been something.
Yeah.
But the problem is at the time, that was when everyone was like, bleed purple, and they wouldn't swap platforms. They wouldn't, and the viewers wouldn't swap platforms, which was the big thing.
Yeah.
And then obviously how they mishandled who they signed and signed two people and didn't make an ecosystem. So you never know if Kick is going to be around for a long time. I know that they have the money with gambling and Saudis paying for a lot of it, but I would still be careful, be very cautious. And to talk about the war itself, Kick did a huge thing when they signed for 100 million. He didn't actually get 100 million, but like the contracts for up to 100 million. They did a big thing. They put a big target on their backs for the feds to go in and look at everything.
Yeah.
And that's why I think everyone that really loves Kick for being like a Wild Wild West, they're like, I could do anything on there. You can't do anything on there anymore. I'm really sorry. They already shut down XQC. They said no more streaming.
The DMCA. It was
exactly.
Yeah, Batman or something.
Yeah. He was streaming Batman, and it's like they now have, like, before he could get away with it because if the feds only see 40,000 people watch, who cares?
Right.
But if you now have millions of people going on there, especially you just barely got put in the New York Times, like, you think that the federal agencies aren't going to start looking, and sadly, no one's going to, I mean, not sadly, but no one's really going to fight the feds.
Yes.
Even though it's owned by stake, and even though it's technically not an American company, they have to abide. Otherwise, they will lose their safe harbor rules. And then all the creators are the ones that are going to be getting sued. And you don't want to be a creator that can't afford a lawyer to go up against, one of the craziest legal systems ever. So it's a case of Kick is going to become more and more like Twitch. So if there's two options in Kick, in my opinion, one is they're going to be more and more like Twitch. They're going to have to they could do it in a good way, just like kind of make some rules, kind of like push it down a little bit.
Right.
And then they'll be fine. Or they're going to go completely crazy, and eventually it's going to be hard to even stream on there because you won't be able to use it in the United States.
Right.
So, so dabble, make your money, and then, always keep a backup.
Yeah.
Diversify. Yeah.
What I don't understand is how YouTube to this point hasn't replicated the Twitch experience. There's so many brains and over there, because that's what's lacking on the live experience.
I agree. I love YouTube. YouTube has better quality video, and it actually has a pretty decent thing for the streamer itself. Like, the analytics are great over there. You've got a lot of things that are for it, but the viewer experience is so lacking for them to be there. And it's because they didn't copy Twitch. What they did was they said, oh, we're just going to take what we have, and we're just going to try to modify it a little bit.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but a comment section is not a chat. Yeah. And then your chat is kind of like, and then they moved it. It's just like, look, YouTube, I understand that you have this system where you have essentially a huge pyramid where the people at the bottom have to get it approved from the people there. Then they have to approve it from there. Then they have to approve it from there. And then eventually the CEO has to be like, yep, I like that direction, right?
Yeah.
And there's just so many steps that it takes them, 8 months to implement a simple thing. And I think that they're trying, but I also know that they're trying to compete with TikTok for shorts.
Yeah.
And if you're fighting two fronts, I mean, Google has a lot of money, but I mean, you're making the viewer experience of both kind of bad, to be honest.
Absolutely. So now, outside of streaming and everything like that, do you do any of the Twitch cons or any of the shows?
Yeah, so I've been to 2 PAX East or 3 PAX East, and then TwitchCon last year in San Diego. We're probably going to do TwitchCon of Las Vegas this year, stuff like that. So we do a lot of stuff with our creators and try to do we try to do as much as we can to kind of like give them a little bit of experience while they're out at TwitchCon, depending on what it is. Vegas will probably, buy 10 tickets to a show or something.
Yeah. And how was your TwitchCon San Diego experience?
It's fine. I mean, I always think that cons are way overrated. Everyone just goes to meet their friends.
Yeah.
And it would be way cheaper if everyone just said, "Hey, let's go to Boise, Idaho," rather than go to San
Right.
Diego, right?
Yeah.
Like go to a realistic place that doesn't have inflated prices because there's a con, and you guys would be able to have a much better time. Actually, Sterdekie, one of our clients, did DekieCon, where he just rented an Airbnb, and 10 of his viewers went to the
Oh my
Airbnb and they
God.
all hung out, which is kind of funny. But like, you
Yeah.
obviously it's hard if you're a bigger streamer to do something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're if you're a group of small streamers, I don't see why you can't just say, look, instead of going TwitchCon this year, let's all plan to go wherever.
Yeah.
And TwitchCon's the easiest one because, the people that you might only want to see for 5 minutes will, be there to say hello.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. And now, looking down the road, what do you think this space looks like in 5 years? Do we have, still multiple streaming platforms and it's skyrocketing the way it is, more people watching, people play games and whatnot?
I hope that there's a lot of platforms. And that's one of the things that, like, even though there's a lot to knock on Kick for, I'm glad that they're at least shaking things up. I think that that is what you always need. I think that, competition breeds innovation. It's going to make it so Twitch and YouTube have to actually do a little bit of work. Maybe YouTube will start implementing things that make look good. Maybe Twitch will actually give us 70-30 instead of, the weird thing they're doing.
Right.
That kind of stuff. I'm hoping that happens. But in 5 years, it's already slowed down a ton because people are going back to work. People are actually going out. People don't want to necessarily stay in front of the computer too much. And then also esports has gone way down. So I think that that's driving a little bit less, like going to Twitch to watch it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In 5 years, I think it's just going to stabilize. I think that it's not going to go down to the bottom. I think that it's going to maybe go into a slow incline, but not like the skyrocket we had, you know?
Gotcha. And now what about, all of these AI tools that are coming out? Are you guys leveraging any of that in your workflows or sort of just looking at what's there right now?
Yeah, we leverage a little bit of AI, but nothing crazy. Like, I believe in playing it a little bit safe for most things. There are some creators that were like, do you want us to really leverage this? But for the most part, AI has not been to the level that we would like before we implement it a lot.
Yeah.
What we like to do with anything like that when it's a new technology, use the new technology, especially AI, but then have a human actually go in and play with what the AI comes up with.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of different things. Even vidIQ, I think, now has, like, AI titles, AI descriptions, AI tags. And it's like, yes, some of those are good, but, I mean, you still want to have a human reviewing it, in my opinion. Someone you trust, because you can't just trust an AI blindly. Like,
no, you'll have 6-fingered people all over the place.
Exactly. You need to at least review it.
Yeah. And now, how about from a workflow standpoint with editing? Are you guys leveraging anything in the, editing in the cloud, storage in the cloud? Your edit sort of like a proxy or sort of just traditional editing still right now?
Most of it's traditional, but we use Frame.io, which is owned by Adobe, to do a lot of the review and be able to make timestamps and really push like a better workflow. And I guess that's where the cloud, editing might come in because we can put in cuts like to their file on their computer with just a simple download.
Nice. Yeah. So now you're not, throwing files back and forth and everywhere and losing time and whatnot.
Right. Usually they have the file folder and then I can type up a thing and then they'll even see where the cuts are where I requested maybe a little change or something.
Nice. And now, any goals this week there that's on the calendar that you guys want to sort of, check off? Any plans for this upcoming year?
I mean, we are planning on hopefully doing another, event, another subathon type of thing.
Yeah.
I think that we're in between deciding when to do it and how to do it. Last time we did an event right before TwitchCon. Like, we literally flew out from my house to TwitchCon, and that was a little bit hectic. That was that was a special event because Marauders was releasing then. But I mean, that was a thing where we're like, I don't know if we want to do that again. But I think that's the only real thing we have on the thing. We do want to do some outdoor stuff.
Nice.
If we do another event, it should be fun. We've got a couple offers for, some like electric bikes and stuff like that. So doing like an IRL portion of, event like that would be nice. Just get them outside.
They got to touch some grass.
Yeah, touch some grass. Why not?
Absolutely. Yeah. Any word from Dekie? How is he doing on his big, mountain trip climbing thing all over the world.
He is loving it. He's really enjoying the first trip. For everyone that doesn't know, he's on Pestily's trip. He's doing a lot of hiking. He did the first trip, and he was like, "Oh, that's really great." But when he got home, he was kind of like, "I go back really quick," and then it's tough. And then they moved the trip 3 to next year to 2024 because it didn't fit with the hiking timeline. It gets a little bit scary eventually and stuff like that. So they're going to push it to next year. And Dekie was like, I'm kind of glad because now I can finish this hike and then know I have the rest of the year to kind of relax before going on my next one. So he's loving it, but I think that he also does miss home sometimes.
Yeah. That's a quick turnaround they had. And then when Pest was on, he was on the pod, and he talked about none of them had met before prior to this. The guy from Canada is sort of the expert hiker. And I was saying, it's got to be so weird because you don't know how far you can push different people. You don't know why, how to, you're the camaraderie. It's like, hey, yeah, making fun of somebody, but to the point where you really don't offend them and, sort of gelling.
They broke Dekie. Dekie is he's a very interesting guy. Like he had a very interesting, life coming up. And then he's just like, I'm going to stop. Like, I don't like where I am right now. I'm going to move to Mexico City with the money I have and just see what happens. Like he literally did not have a plan. He didn't work a job. He had no idea what he was doing. And he didn't even start being a streamer. It was just because he was playing a game. He's like, I could turn my stream on while I'm doing this. And that's how he started. And I used to watch him back when he had, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 viewers, something like that. And I watched him all the way up through. And I was like, dude, you need to get, I was, a viewer, a friend, after that. And then I was like, we need to do something here to help you get, because you've been grinding. Like he would put crazy amount of hours in, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, just going absolutely crazy and falling asleep on stream was the other thing. Oh my God. He used to do that all the time. Like it was just a case of he'd be up for 20 hours sometimes playing.
Oh my Lord.
And he'd just, nod off and then be like, whoa.
So hang on, he lived in the States and he picked up off a whim and just moved to Mexico?
Yeah, sort of. His friends were all moving to different cities. He lived in a small town type of deal. And he's just like, I'm gonna, I could move to Seattle with my friends, or I could move to wherever with my friends, but then I have to pay this and I don't have enough money. And I think I could only live there for, this much. Cause he had some savings. He was saving up, and he's like, I could only live there for, 3 months before I really have to worry about where my food's coming from. And I think he just wanted to be completely different than rural. He wanted a city, and he's like, why limit the United States? Wow. I could go anywhere in the world. And then he was like, Mexico City, which I think he had a couple friends that he played WoW with there or something. And he's just like, Mexico City's the biggest, one of the biggest cities in the world. I could go there and it's completely different. I changed my life completely.
Wow.
And that's what he did.
Yeah.
And he took a leap of faith and it worked out.
Awesome. Good for him. Holy crap. So any smaller creators out there that people should check out at this point?
I mean, there's tons. Most likely, if you go into whatever game you like and just start scrolling down in Twitch, you will find someone that deserves more. And I honestly, I used to do this all the time, especially with niche games. Niche games that maybe only had 15 people playing it. SOS was one of the big ones. Dekie was a big one in SOS. But SOS was this weird game. It was kind of social, where you tried to backstab people.
Yeah.
And there's only 15 people streaming it, and I used to just love scrolling down and just finding a new person every day. And that's kind of what I suggest to people. You'll be surprised. Don't go with the top one. If you don't know, oh, it's a new game, I'm gonna watch whoever the top streamer is, Shroud or whatever, right? And it's like, why not scroll down a little bit? Go to someone that you can talk to in chat and actually build a community with. Maybe 100 people watching, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's great. I like that. All right. So now, outside of this room, what do you like to do when you're not working deals and working with creators? What are some of the things you enjoy?
Oh, I like gardening. Yeah. I love having a nice garden. I believe that everyone should do it. It's easy, relaxing, and plus it's better for the environment. I'm a bit of a hippie that way, where I'm just like, if we can help the environment, why not?
Yeah.
So I started growing a little things. Then I was like, why not just keep going? Why not get even 10% of your food from your own garden? It's better than shipping it in from wherever.
Yeah.
So I mean, gardening's a big one for me. Going outdoors and just hanging out, relaxing. I started taking up. I started doing smoking briskets and stuff.
Yeah.
Started that this year. So far, not great, but I mean, I'll get there. You know,
Yeah.
take up a new hobby.
Now, what's your prized vegetable that you're growing right now? What's your like? You know, people
Well,
come to you as like, hey, yeah, oh man, you're doing those jalapenos this year, or
Well, last year we did a lot of peppers. We did some very spicy peppers, and the guys, they had like a bunch of hot sauce. We ordered a bunch of hot sauce for the first one, for the first subathon. They tried it and they're like, "Oh, that's nothing, you know, whatever." And then I grew some peppers, and we also dehydrated them,
oh,
and then we gave them that for some for a fun little thing, like donate $50 or whatever,
yeah,
and they try it. And they did that, and they were like, "Yeah, that's enough. We're just gonna do one."
Nice.
So I think that was last year. This year, I think we're doing a lot more. Like me and my wife are doing a lot more beans. We love green beans. We've got several different kinds, and we're just gonna see what we can make. I
Yeah.
really want to get into like mixing, like hybrid, you know,
Oh,
some
okay.
different vegetables.
Yeah.
But I'll wait a few years probably
Yeah.
to learn that before, you know. I
My
can
wife's
actually-
garden, we have garlic. Garlic's a big thing for us. She loves her garlic.
I got a lot of garlic, but we'll see how they end up.
Yeah.
Most of them are pretty good, but some of them are so small that I'm just like, well, I'll get what I get from that
Yeah.
one.
Cool. Well, hey, Kings, you survived the podcast, but before you go, I have to, you know, who do you think would be a good candidate for Story to come on and share their experiences?
Has Sterdekie been on here?
He
hasn't,
hasn't.
correct?
No, not yet.
Oh, I would say when he gets back, he's one to really go after. He has a
Alright.
very interesting story, as you can see from just getting up and going.
Yes.
I also do think that Charberg, I don't know if you know who he is.
I've
but
heard of him.
Charberg,
Yeah.
Charberg is, especially his YouTube story, is amazing.
All right. There we go.
He'd be great.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck to you.
Yeah, thank you.